Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Labor Commissioner Roberta Reardon, I would like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the Pyrotechnician Board of Examiners. Today is October 1st, 2025, and the time is now 10:04. Before we begin, I have some important ground rules to share. For those joining us remotely via Zoom, you've been muted upon entry and will remain muted throughout today's meeting. Any distracting video will be disabled. This public meeting is being held at DOL offices in Albany and New York City. There will be an opportunity for public testimony during agenda item 4 of today's meeting. Today's meeting is an open public meeting and it is being recorded. The recording will be available on the Department of Labor's website for this board. You can find more details about the work of the Pyrotechnician Board of Examiners there as well. Finally, my name is Brian Cook, and I work in the Division of Safety and Health Industry Inspection Bureau here at the New York State Department of Labor. I will be your new primary contact for this board. Although I am moderating today's meeting, I am not a member of the board itself. This board was created to assist the New York State Department of Labor and the Commissioner of Labor with respect to examinations, experience, training, and competence of pyrotechnicians. I will call a roll call of the members. James Young. Here. Kevin Fisher.
Here.
Robert LaPietro.
Here.
I'd like to welcome Brian Adams today, who was recently appointed to the board. Brian Adams, are you here?
Here.
He was recently appointed to the board by Commissioner Reardon. Brian, if you would, Mr. Adams, please introduce yourself to the board.
Yes, my name is Brian Adams, certified pyrotechnician. I work primarily at Radio City Music Hall in Manhattan, New York, and I'm the head pyrotechnician there, and I've been involved in this business for over 30 years.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Additionally, Steve Kirshoff and William Minnick Jr. are no longer on this board. We thank them both for their service as board members. Agenda item number 2 is where we'll move to next. A draft of the minutes of the April 2nd, 2025 meeting of this board was shared with all of you by email for review and comment. Are there any comments about the draft minutes? Does any member wish to make a motion to approve these minutes?
The motion.
Motion by Mr. Young. Does any member second this motion?
Second.
Sorry, who?
Who said it? Oh, either one. We both did.
Seconded, was received. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion passes. With that, let's move on to agenda item 3, an update from the Department of Labor on explosive license processing. The Department of Labor is in the midst of updating processing of explosive licenses from a paper process to an online portal. We anticipate this change will be complete in late 2025 or early 2026. This completely online system will help the application process be more efficient and provide vital information to applicants. The system will allow individuals to pay online, submit and upload the required documentation, receive real-time updates about the status or issues with an application. This is the same portal currently being used to process pyrotechnician certificates of competence. Once available, the Department of Labor will encourage all applicants to use the online system for all their application needs. Simultaneously, with the move to online processing, the Department of Labor is also altering how these licenses are issued and the forms or online journeys required to process them. There will now be a combined business application for companies who wish to either deal in or manufacture explosives or to own and possess explosives. Previously, these applications were handled through individual applications and issued to an individual. Once the change is complete, Those licenses will now be issued to the business. Associated with both of those licenses, the Department of Labor will now be asking for individuals who will be handling explosives for the licensed businesses to also complete a separate application. It is as part of this individual application process that individuals will submit their information associated with background checks or ATF clearance. There will be no separate fee for this individual application. It is through the individual application that license ID cards will be issued. Both applications must be submitted at the same time, as approval of each license is dependent on all the documents required for both the business and the individual be submitted. As the transition date gets closer, this information and more will be available on the Department of Labor's website for licensing and certifications. Does the board have any questions about these changes?
I have a question.
Sure.
So I'm assuming each individual that's employed by the business would have to have an application. And if that's the case, how, as new employees come on, would they be submitted? Because it wouldn't be going in with the yearly application of the license.
I will say that each individual that's acting as the pyrotechnician will have to submit. Vince Rapaciulo is here from the Department of Labor.
Yeah, I could actually answer that question. If an individual joins the firm mid-season or before the new application deadline, he would file for his individual application, and he would note in that individual application the company he is joining. There will have to be some kind of confirmation with the company, so we'll ask probably for a separate email from the company to confirm this individual is joining them. He'll be issued his card for that season with an expiration date to cycle that he then expire with the company and on the next year's application.
So this only applies to certified pyrotechnicians, not individuals that work for the company and other.
It applies to anyone the company is allowing to handle their explosives.
Okay.
So if you're entrusting someone with your explosives, they would go through.
So even, for instance, like a truck driver or somebody who packages explosives.
Yes.
Okay.
But it basically be the same as the ATF CPQ.
This program is being changed to be similar.
This is a yearly?
Yes, it'll be on the same cycle as explosive licenses have always been, so.
Maybe off track a little bit, but have we gotten any further into the 3-year renewal possibility in your license yet?
The term of the explosive licenses is not being changed.
Okay, it's not, but
Is there any other questions on these changes?
is there a way we can hear about it first before you put it up online, possibly? Just so we be upfront on it a little bit?
We can send you the notification as soon as we have the date that it's available, we'll get that.
If it's possible.
But right now, in order to get your pyrotechnician certificate of competence, you need to be listed on an EPQ for a company. This would eliminate that, and it would only be on your state version then, correct? Or
No, this won't affect process for the pyrotechnician certificate of competence. This is related to the explosives.
right,
Okay.
but still, it would be, right now, it's a requirement to have your, would that still be a requirement, or will this replace that requirement? If you're already,
It would not. The pyrotechnician license process will remain the same.
I always look at the pyro certificate as more as an individual based rather than a company based thing, because that person could use that for other companies. So it's more of an individual.
That's correct. The pyrotechnician certificate is specific to the individual and their competence as a pyrotechnician.
Other question I had is on the, when we're starting to go electronic rather than paper, is there a way to have a tutorial possibly on how to do, we're still doing paper, sending it in paper wise. We're a little afraid of the electronic part of it, but
In some of the
some
other,
of our training, could it possibly, we get a tutorial on how to fill that out?
we have created, and I believe it's online, for some of the other licenses, the Department of Labor has put on this portal. There has been a tutorial put out there, so we can work towards addressing that.
Just, help some of us older members.
Understood? Any other questions on these changes?
No, I think we're set.
Okay. Move to agenda item number 4. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item 5 for future meetings. The Department of Labor has reserved the following days in 2026 for meetings of this board. The first is April 1st of 2026 and October 7th of 2026. If board members know of any conflicts with these dates, please reach out to me. I will also email these dates in writing to you after this meeting. Agenda item 6, other business. Is there any other business any members of the board wish to discuss today?
Pyro cert dates, test dates, do we have any, obviously October's is here now, so I think what, the 7th or something was a date?
Correct.
Do you know what January and May might be yet?
It's the first Tuesday is what it's supposed to be
Okay.
of those 3 months.
Okay.
I don't know what the exact date is.
No, that's
but-
that's good. So 30 days before for application, so we, at least we got it some benchmark they had.
Mhm. I believe, if it isn't on the website, it would be shortly, but I believe that
No,
those,
that's okay.
those, initial certification test dates are on the website.
Because obviously we're gearing up for 2025, 2026 with the 250th anniversary of the country. So we're expecting more. Hopefully, we need more. And I do have not a proposal, but something I wanted to chat about. So I don't know if this is the time now or not.
Well, we're under other business, so
Well,
go ahead, Mr. Young.
It was about possibly getting back some people, maybe have taken a year or two off, maybe they don't no longer hold a pyro cert, but did at one time. How to bringing them back in the fold. I just was talking to Bob LaPietro over here, and he actually doesn't have a pyro cert anymore. It kind of got lost in you can explain your situation, but I noticed on the pyro board, there looks like there might be some opportunities says the board of examiners may hold hearings to decide if an applicant's license shall be suspended, revoked, or renewed. So like say Bob hasn't had it in a couple of years, is there a way we can go back and we can get him back, review an application, review what happened, why not, what can we do to maybe bring some people back on? If they,
I can
if they
certainly
missed-
explore it
missed a
unless
year or
Vince
two.
has any information currently.
I would say that if an applicant has an expired license, to reach out to our licensing and certification unit and submit an application. Once it's submitted, they will review and depending on the information that's still available in that applicant's file, then we can give some direction on where the application has to go from there. For instance, if they don't have their continued experience, they may have to go back to the start of the process. If there is a record of their application and they have been continuing to keep their experience up and can document that they've been involved in shows, even though as an assistant, even though their certificate may have lapsed, it may be a simple process to renew it. Whereas if they've gone away from the field and have not been, continuing to participate, they may be back at the beginning.
In a situation such as Bob's not actively doing shows anymore, but yet he's still an active teacher and teaching people to go out. So he's more than active in the field, except he's not meeting your requirement of number of shows.
The number of shows is a requirement in the regulation. So in order for him to renew his license, he would have to be involved in the requisite number of shows.
Remember, we talked about, unfortunately, we didn't put anything in there when we set up those rules, any kind of any other issues that may come up. I'm just reading this off the website as possibly as us being the board, if we have input, like, I would be all in favor of him having a pyro certificate because he still works in the industry and is obviously part of this board.
And I would
So,
too.
I'm just wondering if we're probably talking about a very small amount of people that would be wanting to come back next year. But if there's a process, if we have some input as a board, because it kind of says maybe we do, even though we've never used it, never come up, but.
This is
Brian,
Council,
make it-
so I'm gonna jump in real quick.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I think since we're getting into the specifics of a certain applicant, this is better discussed offline and with the department, because I don't want to get into anyone's personal info while we're on this public meeting. And if that sounds good, then I just want to flag, Brian, we did have a member of the public who wished to speak during public comment. If the board could return to that agenda item and allow Matt Shaw some time.
Okay. Deirdre, do you want us to finish this thought or return to the public comment?
You can finish this thought.
Okay, with the advice of counsel's office, if we're gonna discuss this further, she's recommending that we go to closed door. Otherwise, I've certainly heard your position. I can work on an answer and through the proper communication, get back to the board on that. It's up to you.
I had another question. I've been approached by some people in the industry because there's been a concern with having a pyrotechnic operator from another state apply for a New York State pyro operator license. And they seem to have an issue because they have, say, a driver's license, for instance, in New Jersey. And in order to actually apply for a New York State pyro license, it sounded as though, if I understood it correctly, that they would have to give up their Jersey license in order. So,
Vince has got.
okay,
No.
That's correctly, that's pretty simple. They will not be applying for a license in New York State. All they have to do in New York State is go into a New York State DMV, present their credentials to prove they are who they say they are, and
Okay.
have an image capture done by the DMV.
oh, okay,
They would not be applying for a New York State driver's license or non-driver's license or a license of any kind other
Okay.
than their pyrotechnic certificate of competence.
okay,
So they don't have to, it will not affect their New Jersey license.
Okay.
The problem is,
To the DMV is the process of how we, one, identify the person is who they say they are, and two, capture their image.
okay.
the problem we run into is the DMVs are not aware that they have that capability.
We have a form online, which Brian can direct you to bring into the DMV for having that process.
Okay.
I believe it's all on the website. I haven't checked it this morning, but understood, and I've heard the same feedback in my office in Buffalo about they went to the DMV and the DMV was unsure. However, I strongly believe that if you have the form,
With a form, that would make it simplified.
they can at least internally within
Right.
their specific office follow through and, make a phone call, whatever, to process it.
Okay, good.
To elaborate on what Vince said, the image capture is important because the certificates of all the occupational licenses under 61 are printed through the DMV.
Right.
So that necessitated the image capture from that, so. Are we good on that question? And also, just to back up quickly, Mr. Young, you were speaking about
Yeah,
the
just
individual thing.
Yeah, I mean, just maybe on a case by case basis, maybe, we just have people send their applications and see where they go sometimes, see what their reasoning for not continuing their pyro service. I'm just
Right.
thinking we may get more because of 2026. It's
Understood.
probably not gonna be a conversation in 27, but I'm just this year getting as many people with knowledge of fireworks, even though it might be a year or two old.
I've made notes and I will work on what the process is if the applicant reapplies for their pyrotechnician certificate and it's denied. I will research what you have spoken to as to how this board.
I mean, I know a different
proceed on it.
situation when COVID came up, obviously we had to do a lot of,
Mhm.
people did not have continual training because of that. So I know this is not COVID, but just a situation
Understood.
coming up for next year.
Like I said, I'll do the research on it and our recommendation right now is to process it, and if it's denied, then we can move forward based on the guidance of what the board's allowed to do.
Good.
If we're good with those, then we'll return to agenda item 4 for public comment. I believe we have Mr. Matthew Shaw for comment.
Good morning, everybody. Matt Shaw, Skylighters of New York. We're out of Boston, New York, just south of the city of Buffalo. Thanks for giving me a few minutes to discuss a few things. I'll try to make this as brief as possible for you. Couple things for the explosive license process. Thank you. I think it's an awesome process. It definitely streamlines not only the, submitting it, but you get communication throughout the whole process. You receive the information and are licensed within a few weeks' time. So, that's fantastic there. So thank you. Along with submitting some documentations for all employees, just like your EPQs through the ATF, we get a master letter of clearance. I don't know if the state has a process or, plans on implementing something like that too. When we submit our applications, we submit, fireworks permit applications, we submit that letter of clearance also. Couple other things. Brian Adams, nice to see you on the board. You're a New York City guy. Looks like you're doing all theater pyro. You do work throughout the state of New York also, I would assume.
I work yes, I work throughout the state, fireworks, display shows worldwide. I'm ex-fireworks by Gucci, pyrotechnician, so I've been around.
Great. So more experience, that's even better. So, okay. Couple things that, I've brought up in the past. I understand it's pretty complex and I just wanted to bring it back up. We're seeing drones with pyro. Whose jurisdiction, who regulates that, what kind of license they're needed. We're seeing planes with pyro on them now also. Once again, who regulates that, who oversees that? Jim, thanks for bringing up, 2026 being a real busy year. We're in a similar situation. I have an employee that left for medical reasons. He's looking at coming back. He was a licensed operator. We would love to become a licensed operator again. Obviously, he's going to be on our payroll. He will be an assistant if that's all he can be, but having another card holder would be great there. Hot topic of mine, licensed companies working here. What kind of recourse there is for working without, permits or license. I know as a, fireworks company, if any one of us did that, we'd be, crucified for, we'd be looking at suspensions or revoking our license or civil penalties. Didn't know what kind of repercussions there is for that. Another topic I wanted to bring up, which I'm not crazy about, but EV vehicles hauling explosives. Our governor wants to have an all-electric vehicles by 2035, at least the new sales of electric vehicles. I know this is definitely a further conversation, but want to at least get that out there on record that that poses some concerns with hauling explosives. You guys have been working on a new exam. I don't know if that has been implemented for the next exam or not. I don't know if anybody could comment on that.
The new exams are in place.
They are in place. Okay. That's great. I'm assuming there's whatever the 50 questions for a Class B license. It's probably the same 50 questions, just mixed up. So there's probably 3 or 4 different tests.
No, we're not going to comment on the tentative exams.
Okay, that's not a problem. I thought we have some study guide information here that they reference. I thought an actual practice test would be a good thing. I'll let you guys sit with that. We talk about the NFPA standards 1123, 26. Can we reference what year you guys are working off of that? I know some of the municipalities in Western New York are working off of 1123 of 22, and for 26 they're using 2021. Just so we're given the right information for the guys to study. I would see some value in letting them read or making them read Code Rule 39 too. I would think there's some good information that they should be looking for that also. I had a suggestion, once they pass the test, which I believe is an 80% pass or fail, that the questions that they fail should be available to them once they complete that test. The reason for that is we're dealing with explosives, and the last thing we want to do is they pass the exam so they think they've got all the questions correct and they're making a mistake out in the field. This is life and death stuff that we're talking about. I don't see any harm with that because they already have a license to do it. We just want to make sure that they are doing things correctly. Going back with that application to sit for this exam, in paragraph 4, section C, it states, if self-employed, you may submit verifications from the sponsor of the show. I'm assuming we're stating like out-of-state companies, because they shouldn't be, if they're self-employed, how are they producing these shows to begin with? With that being said, too, verifying your work experience from an employer or self-employed or whatnot. I'm assuming some of you guys work out of state. I know we do. Some other states are a whole lot more relaxed about firework laws. When we work in other states, we follow New York state law because I believe there are any laws that we're following the stricter law. I think they're a better law. We're verifying that their work experience is there, but is it work experience in following New York state law? I think that would be crucial to have included into the application. Another thing I wanted to bring up, I know the state put it on the municipality for the permit application back in like 15 years ago. If you look at the application, you guys have a checklist once it comes down to indoor pyro. But the only other, there's no like checklist for an outdoor display, other than your diagram showing your setbacks. I think a little cheat sheet there for municipalities to look up the Department of Labor's website would be helpful for them, so they're asking the right questions. I'd be more than happy to share some of the additional information that we produce with our permit applications, a little bit above and beyond. I don't know if this state or the board has ever considered increasing $1 million limit. Let's face it, here in 2025, what's $1 million? I'm assuming all you guys are carrying $5 million to begin with, just with the transportation limitations. One of the things that we're seeing here also when people are filing for permits, so if they're not licensed and they are filing for permits, carrying insurance for $1 million, as an MC carrying $1 million versus, you know, a fireworks company carrying that limits are a whole lot more money, and we have those. That policy is designed for fireworks, so. And then, you know, at the end of the application, just verifying that they're following all the state and federal and DOT laws, I think would be crucial. They're self-verifying that they are compliant with all the regulations that are out there. I know I'm throwing a lot of information real fast, so I do apologize. Just want to get all this information out there. I'm not one just to throw a whole bunch of questions out there. I do believe I have answers for a lot of them, but that's not for me to say. So if there's any follow-up or anybody has questions of anything that I just talked about, feel free to give me a call, side note, text, email, whatever. I'd be more than happy. Does anybody have any questions for me with all the stuff that I just threw out there? If I don't hear anything, I guess that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Welcome.
Just returning to agenda item 6 and the other business. Where we were at before we moved back to public comment. Is there any other business members of the board wish to discuss today?
I guess what Matt was talking about a little bit is about 1123 NFPA and 1126. I mean, we're starting to get to be like 15 years back now. The 1123 display fireworks is 2010, and the indoor 1126 is 2011. I think that's a tough process to go ahead, but it's starting to become distant now. There's probably some good questions in there. I think the drone is even brought up in one of the latest standards, I believe, or it's going to be. But I think it's hard to get to reference those as part of our exam. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's difficult, but it is starting to get old.
Yeah, I would just jump in there to say, yeah, the current exam is based on the reference documents, and there will be new questions will not be created for the updated versions,
Right.
Unless or until the reg is updated.
Is there any other business?
I have one question on the test is the first Tuesday of the month of October, January and May. Is that going to be set now that that's always what it'll be, or for us planning ahead?
It is supposed to be, and it's our guidance to have the exam on the first Tuesday of those months. There may be some restrictions where it has to be changed, and we try to make it within a couple of days of that. Didn't says any further.
Right.
Operationally,
That's
sometimes
pretty much the goal, though. I mean,
our directive is to have them on those dates.
Okay.
Operationally, sometimes there's conflicts.
It's good to know, because you know only 30 days before, so you should have a shot.
Right.
I'm sure you're with a short.
Generally speaking, if it's not gonna be on that first Tuesday, it might be that Wednesday, within that week period.
Early in the month of October, January and May though.
We shoot for the first Tuesday.
It's good to know.
Just even have the month is a good, you know.
I would say by and large, most test dates across our 9 districts to occur on the first Tuesday. But again, sometimes there's issues at hand that prevent us from doing it, but those individuals that apply for that district are notified then and receive their notification to take the test with the correct date. So
I've gotten some complaints from some of my guys who wanted to take it that they're not hearing back, like when the next test is, or actually having to call mutual, or many people to find out where's their application. Seems to be a little disconnect someplace.
Well,
I'm not
now
sure
we've got
where.
a guide here of when to shoot for. so-
No, I know, but I mean, someone who failed the test and I said, when's the next one? I don't know. I haven't heard, like, they haven't heard back from anybody when the next test is available for them, or they don't know, they call me like I'm supposed to know.
Well, you do know.
generally, the direction is that they need to discuss that with the licensing and certificate unit.
That's what I try to.
I know many of the districts do receive the phone calls from either, the person that took the test or that, and individually within our districts, we do attempt to reach out, but there are limitations in what we can do, especially when talking about somebody else, their test results.
Right. I tell them I have no.
It is
idea.
noted, there has been a bit of a transition with licensing, taking on all these testing. But your concern is noted. Any other business the board wishes to discuss?
I guess the only thing I'll maybe part with, this is kind of we'll call it our quiet time, maybe next few, over from now until then. If there's something that we can help with, I guess this is the time that we could do it. Research. I don't know what it could be, but as you discuss this afterward, this time of year between now and May is time we have time to do things.
Thank
So
you.
if there's anything we can do as a board, within the scope of all of this, we could, speaking for you guys too, I guess, but this is the time to do it. Give us some more work.
Thank you. Going on this topic, is there any items that you would like as a board for the next, to be on the agenda for the next meeting?
I guess not at this time. We'll see how the year progresses.
Okay, thank you.
So you have a lot of notes.
Do have a lot of notes.
That'll be a lot.
With there being no other business the board wishes to discuss, we'll move to item 7, which is the closing agenda item 7. Would a board member like to motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second?
I'll do it. Second.
Thank you. This meeting is now closed.